Hello, everybody. My name is Drew, and I'm here today to tell you about aluminum. You might be thinking to yourself, wait, aluminum? That's an everyday material that's used to make cans. What's so interesting about that? Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to this wonder material, which helps to make our daily lives possible. I'm going to go over what aluminum is, where it comes from, the environmental impacts of its production, and why aluminum is such a commonly used material. First, what is aluminum? Aluminum is a basic metal and is the 13th element on the periodic table. It is not usually found in its raw state in the environment. In fact, the vast majority of aluminum is found in bauxite ore. Bauxite ore is generally mined in open pits in areas near the equator. A chemical process utilizing lye is used to separate the aluminum oxide from the bauxite. This process has a byproduct of bauxite residue, an insoluble and usually toxic material which must be stored in holding facilities after its creation. Once the aluminum oxide is separated, it must go through an electrolysis process at over 900 degrees Celsius to be made into aluminum. After this stage, various additives and heat treatments can be applied to the aluminum to improve its properties. That is a significant amount of work to go from a raw ore to a finished material. In fact, it takes over 9 times the amount of energy to create aluminum versus steel. In addition to the immense energy cost, aluminum production is to blame for a whopping 1% of the entire world's carbon emissions. You might be wondering how that is possible, given all the other ways we generate greenhouse gases. How does aluminum production account for so much pollution? Some of it comes from the energy production required to make aluminum, but the larger issue here comes from chemistry. I have created an artistic representation of the electrolytic breakdown of aluminum oxide. The physical movement of atoms and electrons during this process is beyond the scope of this video, but this will help to explain why so much carbon dioxide is created in this stoichiometric exchange. On the right, we have our molecules of aluminum oxide. On the left is carbon. Electrolysis is used to break the bonds between the aluminum and the oxygen. The oxygen is then attracted to the carbon. It bonds with the carbon to form carbon dioxide, which is then free to float away in the atmosphere, leaving behind aluminum atoms. Beyond its problem with air pollution, aluminum production also pollutes the land and water. The bauxite residue created in the refining process is insoluble, so it cannot truly break down into a natural state. If that was not bad enough, aluminum production also consumes about 1.4 cubic meters of water per metric ton. All these factors added together, aluminum production is a huge burden on the environment and yet another unsustainable practice by humanity. However, aluminum has one saving grace. Aluminum is 100% recyclable, which means it can be recycled endlessly without degradation of its material properties. This benefit is shown by the fact that 75% of all aluminum made since 1880 is still in use today. That is an incredible statistic. A great example of this phenomenon is illustrated by this: the humble aluminum can. An aluminum can be created, sold, used, recycled, remanufactured, and returned to a store in only 2 months. It also only takes 5% of the energy originally needed to create the aluminum to recycle it. But does aluminum's recyclability offset the incredible amount of environmental damage caused by its production? Now that is a question humanity must answer. The world must be cautious. Creation of too much pollution and insoluble materials is not only a problem for future generations, but increasingly it's a problem that we can no longer ignore today as well. At least one thing is clear. Recycled aluminum is an exceptionally environmentally friendly material that should be pursued with vigor. Beyond its recyclability, there are many reasons to use aluminum over other materials in the creation of consumer goods and vehicles. Aluminum has a fantastic strength-to-weight ratio, which makes it an ideal material to use in transportation. Modern cars are made more fuel efficient by using aluminum instead of heavier materials, such as steel, for certain components. Without aluminum, modern planes might not be feasible or even possible. Aircraft are required to be light so they can lift their own weight, carry cargo, and fly for a decent range. Overall, aluminum is an important part of our everyday lives. It is used to create countless consumer goods, enables fuel-efficient transportation, and its recyclability helps to keep waste out of landfills. However, the staggering amount of energy and pollution that is required for aluminum's production prevents it from being the most ecologically friendly solution in all applications. Thank you.